Welcome to the Do Good X podcast. I'm Stephen Lewis, and I am a catalyst for positive change in communities and businesses. And for over 2 decades, I've inspired leaders and entrepreneurs to live and work on purpose with intention, faith, and a commitment to their well-being. And I'm joined today by my co-host, Kimberly.
Always good to be with you, Stephen. I am Kimberly Danielle, and I am a community builder, a coach, and communication strategist who comes from generations of faith-driven leaders and entrepreneurs who believe that our purpose should drive us to contribute to the common good. And today, we are back with another mashup episode that really brings together insights and highlights from across season 1 of this podcast.
In this episode, we've woven together clips from past conversations about how to build a thriving business, to defining the problem your business solves, and even tackling one of the most Googled questions by inspired entrepreneurs.
So whether you are an inspiring entrepreneur, a founder who is just starting, or someone who's been in the game for quite some time, we hope that this mashup provides you with strategies, questions, and maybe just one next step that helps you to get more clear about your business and for you to build with intention.
So let's get into it.
Today, we will specifically focus on 3 reasons in particular that some entrepreneurs have thriving businesses, which may even potentially scale, and why some just don't stay in the game for the long haul. And the first is that, number 1, these entrepreneurs' journeys lead to success because their products and services that their business provides, they address a true need or desire for a community, and it is aligned.
Yeah, I think why they are successful is that they are either in a business that they have some knowledge of, or they have a team of people who have some knowledge in the business that they are actually going into. And so I think it's really important to have some familiarity of the business that you're trying to get into. And those who tend to have some knowledge of that usually have a leg up in terms of, what they need to navigate in order to be successful.
So the third thing is, I know that these entrepreneurs who are successful, they're agile and they know how to pivot. Successful entrepreneurs, they have the ability to pivot. They have the ability to be agile. We saw this happen during the pandemic, where a lot of entrepreneurs and businesses really had to shift their business models to sustain during that period of time. And they have pivoted and shifted since then. So it's really important to remain open. It's really important to be nimble and to change your business as you are hearing from your community, from your customer, from the market about what's happening and what is needed in the world and what is required. Any other things that come to mind to you, Stephen, around successful entrepreneurs?
One other thing that I would share is that they have a business that you can actually grow and that they can actually advance. And a large part of that is, is because of the mindset that they bring, So, again, being able to think about how you're actually going to grow your business, how you're actually going to scale your business, that you have a good thing that you want to share with the world. You got to have the type of mentality or the kind of mindset that allows you to say, I'm not going to make any excuses about why I can't or what cannot happen or this happens to me, et cetera. And, that I'm really going to do what I need to do in order to grow and expand my business. And that ties back to what you're saying is about finding something that somebody needs, and it's a real need. But then how do you actually scale that in such a way that you get it out to a wider audience? And I think, for us at Do Good X, we really kind of define this type of mindset as a no excuse mentality and a commitment to being successful in spite of obstacles and balancing hard work with self-care and to go the extra mile to achieve results. And someone with, kind of a hustle mindset, they take or they request feedback from others to improve their business and also to overcome the obstacles so they can actually scale their business beyond their wildest imagination and limits that they may have placed upon themselves.
we're just going to have a bit of a conversation and also just share some tools and tips in this brief episode about really how you approach addressing a problem through your business and gaining clarity about that problem, or you might see it as a need, or you might see it as a desire. This should be the center of your business and drive your products, your services, and what you offer. Because essentially, as a social entrepreneur, if that is your lane, social entrepreneur, it is important that you are ultimately addressing what a community needs, what someone in the community needs. And so it's important to be clear about that problem, that need or desire. So we're going to just share 3 quick, brief steps to help you gain clarity about the problem, the positioning of your business, and the impact you want to make, because those things are all really tied together. You need to identify the desire or the gap that you're addressing and who really cares about it. Like, who cares about it? It has to be more than one person, because otherwise you're not going to have a sustainable business, nor are you going to have like a really deep impact. And one way to approach this is to think about this statement. Now, you may have to go back and write this down. I'll say this a little slower, but if you think about the statement and fill in the blanks, see what this provides to you. So the statement is, the problem I want to solve is blank. The customers I want to serve need blank because blank. Now, if you take some time to really reflect on this and you are in the early stages of building out your business idea, this will give you some clarity and help you to really kind of zoom in on what it is that you want to address.
A problem really is an opportunity in disguise. So really trying to think about where the opportunity is really gets at this whole idea of what people desire, what they need, what they long for. So thinking clearly about your problem will help unearth what is that opportunity that is actually in disguise of that problem.
Lastly, I'll say research. So you've come up with this statement, you gain clarity about your why you care and why other people care. Show some data behind this to support that this problem exists and that people care about it enough. You're doing some customer discovery. You're actually talking to people to hear directly from them. And you're not assuming that this is a problem, that this is a need, or that this is a desire that is going to be viable.
The number 2 thing that, as it relates to looking at this conversation that we're having, is to determine where the problem you are addressing is situated in the larger system. So we oftentimes think about the system with regards to the environment, communities, and the people and how they intersect with one another. So oftentimes when we think about the environment, we're thinking about kind of the economic system. And the economic system would get into like supply chain and the ways in which we exchange resources and that type of thing. How do we dispose of waste and those kinds of things? When we think about communities, we think about the kind of political system. What are the laws and policies and procedures that govern how we be together as a community? How do we address when things go wrong within a community? How do we support communities around the things that only the larger kind of municipalities can actually do in that particular context? And then the last one that we talked about is people. And that really is about the social system. And that gets into the way in, which we educate folks. It looks at our culture, our values, our access. And that social system also intersects our economic system as well as our political system. And so when you think about the problem that you're trying to work with, part of the question is, where is this problem specifically located? Is it within the environment? Is it within the communities that you're trying to solve? Or is it with primarily people? It helps you think about the problem in terms of, is this a problem that is really addressing individuals on the ground day to day? Or is this a problem that is addressing more of businesses that then serve their customer base. And that gets into identifying whether or not you're going to, address or create a solution that is what we call B2B, a business to business, that then turns around and resources a customer group, or if it's a B2C, that you're going to do something that is directly to the actual customer themselves.
The other thing that this opens up that it can open up for you, and seeing where your business idea is situated in a larger system, is that you are narrowing the focus of your business, which finding your niche can lead to more success than trying to be everything to everyone or trying to address an entire system. It also opens up the opportunity to identify other businesses that are addressing the problems or pain points in the larger system, but they're not exactly where you're situated. So you might be able to partner with another organization and over time maybe build an ecosystem that does address this full system. Because a lot of times entrepreneurs, particularly social entrepreneurs, they want to do good. And they want to come in with these grandiose ideas of really making this large impact, which you can totally make, but you have to start somewhere. The last point that I want to make here is that it is important to think about what is the cost of the challenge or the problem should your business not address it. So what I mean by that is, what does it cost the community for the challenge, the problem, the need to persist? What does it cost the community? Will people have less access to resources, have less access to education? Will they have a lack of opportunity to really thrive in their knowledge based on whatever it is that your business provides? And how do you you measure this in a qualitative or a quantitative way? Because this can become part of your story as to why your business is needed and necessary to decrease that cost. So 1, identify the need, desire, or gap you're addressing and who cares about it. 2, determine where the problem you are addressing is situated in a larger system. And lastly, to discover the cost of the problem should your business not address it.
If you're tinkering with a business idea, this episode is for you. We're going to address one of the top search questions by aspiring entrepreneurs. Do you know what that question is? How do you start your business? So before we build a website, develop a product or a service, register your business as a legal entity, take notes of these steps that we will share. A business idea, but the idea may change or pivot or even evolve. So what most likely will not change is the problem, the need, or the pain point that you're trying to address and you're actually building your business in order to solve. So instead of focusing on your idea initially, focus on what is the problem that you're trying to solve. Once you've kind of identified and researched a problem, there's this other piece where you actually have to test drive the solution to the problem. In other words, it's not enough for this problem or the solution that you have to the problem to get stuck in your head. And it can make all types of sense in your head, but until you actually test drive it, until you actually talk to a few people, potential customers that are impacted by the problem that you want to solve, and demonstrate to them how your solution solves their problem or offers a better solution to the problem, you really don't know.
I want to talk about determining your ideal paying customer, not just your customer, because there can be so many customers out there, but you're trying to start a business in which you generate money and your business can be sustainable while you make an impact. And so who is your ideal paying customer? And it'll be important for you to think about the person or the type of person or the type of entity that will not only benefit from your solution, but is willing to pay enough money for it. One way that you might, learn more about your ideal paying customer after you identify who that might be it's to do a customer discovery process. It really just gets you out talking to potential customers to gain insights and direct feedback about their needs. Not just staying behind your laptop and looking at research and data, which data is very important, but this is actively getting you talking to these folks and getting that direct feedback for your purposes of your specific business. And it is about formulating some type of hypothesis, which might be that problem statement that Stephen spoke about earlier. Is about formulating that hypothesis and testing it to make sure there is a real market need for your business. Through this, you get to further understand the problem you want to address, how the problem is currently being solved or not in the marketplace, and what people desire in order to better address the pain point.
I would say the final step is to build a prototype to actually test. So what could you do in a small way? Less than $1,000, maybe less than $500. Some would even say less than $200, that you can actually build something tangible, build a model, build a mock-up, a prototype. So a prototype is simply a visual or a physical representation of your solution in order to explore and learn what works and to test whether or not you have something that customers are willing to pay or to experience. And a good prototype requires you to focus on key activities or the most important features of your business solution that you need to test, improve, and receive feedback in order to improve it. And again, it shouldn't cost a lot in order to build it. Why? Because your business idea will change, or you'll even pivot based on the feedback that you receive.
I hope that if you all are, starting a business, that you really take the time to identify and research your problem. You take the time to determine your ideal paying customer, and you build that prototype to test. Don't get stuck in your own way. Don't get stuck in your head. Get it out there. Make it happen. At least test it to see if it'll work, because you won't know until you actually do.
Thank you for listening to the Do Good X podcast. To continue the conversation or access our resources, visit www.dogoodx.org. Join us again for conversations that will nourish your soul, ignite your dreams, and empower you to build an impactful business, one intentional step at a time. Until then, keep striving, thriving, and doing good.